and over and over again and over. And still, I find that I have more questions than I do answers. Every time there are more questions. And was the chariot moving the entire time until the Ethiopian commanded it stopped? What happened to the Ethiopian when they went to the temple? What did Philip have to say during this long speech that told the whole story of Jesus, which is to ask the question, what in this case was the good news? Now, admittedly, there are some things that we can guess at, right? I mean, this was 2,000-ish years ago. We can't be certain of anything. We know that the Ethiopian is described as a eunuch. Now, eunuch at this time historically can mean several things. It can mean exactly what you would expect, that a person has endured a physical procedure by choice or mandate that makes them unable to procreate. It can mean that someone is born with a physical difference, which makes them unable to procreate, or places them somewhere between what we understand as male and female. It could also simply mean that someone had chosen a life of celibacy and to forego marriage. So suffice it to say, the Ethiopian has in some way either made choices or had choices made on their behalf that have led them to a life of difference, a life of proximity to great power as the treasurer of the queen of the Ethiopians. We know that though the Ethiopian has been moved to faith, though they desired to worship the God of Abraham, the laws of Deuteronomy prevented them from entering any more than the outer court of the temple. The Ethiopian would have come from what was then known to be the ends of the earth, moved by the Holy Spirit to take on this long journey, to worship the God of Abraham, only to be turned away. And so the Ethiopian is on the way home, still invested in the inspiring scriptures that they were turned away from, landing on verses about humiliation and denial of justice. When Philip comes running up to this seemingly still in motion chariot, and Philip tells the Ethiopian a story about a man whose difference had set him apart, who had also been turned away from the temple, who was humiliated and denied justice in front of all of those gathered for the festival of Passover in Jerusalem. A man who, despite having his life taken away from the earth, found a way to even have defeated the humiliation of an unjust death to walk again. What good news this must have been, that humiliation and injustice were far from being the end, that even these verses from Isaiah had not captured the whole story, that there was more for Jesus and for the Ethiopian and for all people who know these experiences in the scars and calluses on their bodies, hearts, and souls. We come here as a gathering of our own type of temple, not to hold up in our buildings and cast people away because of their difference, but so that we might be reminded to go out from this place, to meet others along the road, not to stop or to redirect them, but to move with them, to hear the pain of their humiliation and unjust treatment, and to be able to say to them with confidence, this is not the end. Sending them on their way, rejoicing, hopefully, to where they were already headed, trusting that the Spirit will move in them to do great things. Who is the Spirit calling you to walk, run, or ride with? Down what roadways might they lead you? And what good news do they need to hear? Most importantly, when the Spirit calls you, will you put down your what-ifs and your I don't have times, and go with it.